Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here. It's a Saturday morning for all of you, and for perhaps it's evening for you, for those who are joining in from around the world. We are now Facebook Live and YouTube live streaming because this is part of the Scientific Literacy in CLIL online workshop from the Electronic Village Online 2021. And it's a great pleasure to invite our three speakers from Xingling Elementary School. This is me and Greg and Marie. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Perhaps some of you know that about, or some of you don't. I've written an article about their workshop on ArtBot, and because I was amazed by the interaction of Greg and Marie with the students, and the three of them worked together on the STEM curriculum for Xingling Elementary School. The students loved it, and I loved it. So I was like, please come, give us share your work. Please do a workshop for all of the teachers in Taiwan. And right now, through Electronic Village Online, we're sharing what we are doing in Taiwan to teachers around the globe. And for those who are interested in CLIL, in doing science CLIL and STEM CLIL, so this is it. I think that they have a wonderful curriculum set up here, and part of the second week session, it's on STEM, and we are also introducing Storyline, which is the next generation science in the States, and I think they have like a storyline set up for every session, and it's wonderful, so I can't wait. So I'll just pass the mic to them.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ling. Okay, we are from Xingling Elementary School from Linkou, and this is a new school. This year is the third year of the school, so we met each other for 3 years. Like the first year of the school, we met each other, so we've been working for just 3 years or 3 years, and so. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I think we're probably going to get into who we are as we go on, but this is all something we were thrown together, and none of us has any particular background in STEM, but we've taken all of that different way of thinking and brought it to STEM, and tried to do STEM, STEAM, STREAM, whatever, and tried to do something that we thought would be fun and interesting. So I guess, Ming, would you like to start off? Okay, I'm going to go hide all the way over there. You want to say anything?
Hi, I am Marie. I'll be the third speaker today. So Ming is going to start with today's talk, and then Greg, feel free to feel it's boring. And
No, it's not.
no, it might be boring, but please don't fall asleep. We'll try our best.
Okay, so thank you. Well, they'll be here supporting me.
Way back there.
Yeah, so it's Maker, as you see, is our curriculum. We call it Maker. Well, there's a story when we first met each other. When I first got into the school, I was signing a contract, and my director said that she wanted to talk to me about our bilingual program. She asked me, do you have any ideas of what topics we're going to cover? I said, I see our native speaker teacher, he majored in social studies, so maybe we do social studies. But our director, she wanted something more interactive, like kids can do something hands-on activity and learn something else. So I said maybe science or STEAM, because I assume STEAM is something that you can learn science, you can learn art and math, and then you do hands-on activity, sort of like a learning by doing thing. And then I met Marie, and we talked about our school-based curriculum, the 4 axes. There is one, which is maker. So we talked to each other. I asked her, which one do you think is doable in bilingual? And she said, maybe maker. So we talked to Greg, and then we decided it's maker. So
I said no.
yeah, he said, well, maybe let's draw something on their books, like make it maker, it's art. So we all know this is not going to be easy, and we don't have any other references before. We have to start a curriculum all from the very beginning, and so it just started. And maker, we hope to give children some knowledge, something they need to know in their everyday life, and hopefully they can digest this knowledge, and then in their daily lives they can use this skill to solve some problems. It doesn't have to happen right immediately in class, but we hope that this can be some skills they can use in life. So we call it maker. Okay, so let me just give everybody a briefing. I'll start from curriculum, and then Greg will be talking about always be creating, how we create the curriculum, the lessons. Marie will be the third speaker. She'll be talking about big crisis, some difficulties we met while we are making this curriculum. So a big curriculum, yeah, sounds like, yeah, it's a tree. Hopefully, I think this lesson we're doing STEAM. I'm not sure, maybe some of you are doing this science curriculum right now, or maybe you are going to do science or STEAM in the future. We're not here trying to tell you what to do, but we hope if you are doing this, it will be helpful. We will be happy if this is helpful to you. So subject matters, we choose STEAM because it includes science, technology, engineering, art, and math. So many subjects you can cover it. You can do science, you can ask them to do art and then learn the science behind it. Or you can ask them to do some math, and you can make something, hands-on activity, and talk about the math behind it. So this is our subject matter. Now here, not until this year do we enroll students from grade 1 to grade 6. So grade 6 students, they are the first year students from 3 years ago. So here, with grade 1, there are 6 classes, regular English classes, 2 periods, and bilingual 1 period. Same in grade 2. But from grade 3, regular English classes are 3 periods per week, and then 1 bilingual, which is maker, each week. Then from grade 4 to grade 6, still 3 English regular classes, 3 periods per week, and then 2 double sessions of bilingual each week. So from grade 3, they get maker bilingual, but in grade 1 and 2, they get live curriculum. Okay, so from here, you can see from grade 3, Greg takes grade 3, 4, 5, and 6, and he teaches with many co-teachers, Amy, May, Joy, Ming, Jackie, and Marie. So he has to talk to many teachers. This is our schedule, very crazy. So we have a bigger team this year, so we need to know where everybody is, and we need to know when is everybody's free time so we can talk to each other. So as you can see, only Wednesday and Friday afternoon, we are all free. So we decided to have Wednesday afternoon a regular meeting. We plan lessons together. So we will do from grade 3 to grade 6 all together. in this time and prepare materials they need in the coming week. So maybe some stuff cannot be done on Wednesday afternoon, then we will use Friday afternoon to do extra planning or preparing. But how about new lesson ideas? Really, it's not easy to gather everybody together, and ideas don't just come into your mind when you are sitting down here to have a meeting and you know what you are doing. It might just pop up sometimes, so we just talk to each other anytime when we have ideas for future lessons. So how we design our lessons before we teach in classroom. These ideas, they mostly come from student feedback. At the end of every semester, we will ask students to write their feedback. What is your favorite lesson? What's your least favorite lesson? And what do you hope to build in the future? And they will give us a lot of ideas, or it will go together with maker themes. We will tell you more about our maker themes. Then from these ideas, we will find something that is possible to build, and then we try it. If it doesn't work out, then it just go back to possible builds. We won't just give it up. Maybe it will work sometime, just not now. And if it works, then we have to think about materials. So there are many things we have to think about materials. First of all, budget. But how do we estimate how much budget we need? First of all, we need to count the number of the bills in one class, in one grade. For example, grade 6 only got 2 classes, but grade 3, they have 6 classes. It depends on the build itself. Maybe we want 2 students to build one thing, or maybe one group builds one thing. It changes. So we decide the number of builds. Then we have to consider the preparation time, whether we can prepare this before we have the lesson, or we need a longer preparation time. So this class cannot happen this semester, but maybe next semester. And then we can go to the budget if we have enough and we can do this. So if everything is fine, then we started to make our lessons. We have a blackboard, which is theory, science theory, maybe math, this more content-like, and their maker diary, sort of like a dictionary with pictures. So we will ask kids to write down 4 keywords that they will be frequently using in this unit. And then we have our drama and worksheets, like a review. And it's usually 2-sided. In your book, there is a worksheet called the telegraph. So the first side of the worksheet is usually drama comprehension. And the back side of the worksheet is about theory. It's on, I can't find the page, but it's 1 page before the purple page. Yeah.
So it goes 13.
13.
I guess 14.
13 and 14. Yeah, you will see a monster there. We will be doing this later. Okay. So in class, how these are co-teaching models that we use in class. Mostly these 3. First one is one teach, one support. Next is team teaching, and the other one is parallel teaching. It depends on the unit itself. It doesn't happen all the time that we do, or it's not a rule that we do drama, theory, and review in one teach, one support. It really depends on the unit itself and the build itself. If this build is more complicated, then we will do parallel teaching because we have 6 groups. So Greg will be teaching 3 groups, and I'll be teaching the other 3 groups. And drama, because it has many characters, but sometimes there are only 2 or 3 characters in this time's drama, so it will be great. If there are more, we will each take 1 or more characters. So these are the 3 teaching modes we use in class. So each unit will cover the 4 parts here. There is drama, actually it's a story, goes together with each unit, and the story is based on this chicken and the monster, which is called the Gribbler. And then something will happen to these characters, so they have to think of a way to solve the problem. They might be building something, anything, and they have to build one thing to save themselves. So that would be the build they do in class that time. And then they build something. There must be something behind it that you can learn, like the science theories. So as I mentioned before, there will be a maker diary and the blackboard explaining the theory behind it. So as you see, this is a page with 4 squares. They are doing this every time. So when they come into class, we'll ask them to draw 2 lines and make 4 squares, write down the words, and draw a picture that can help you understand this word. Okay, then the worksheets as you see in your workshop. And briefly introduce this drama characters because Greg will give you a more detailed introduction about these. So, because STEAM covers several subjects. So through time, we developed several characters, different storylines, and each of them cover different topics. They are the makers, and the topics they cover is adventure and science. This one is Dean Greenberg. Whenever you see him, we'll be teaching arts. And this is the band called the Drumsticks. As you see, their band so is music and sewing. Why sewing? Because this chicken here, Felipe, she is very good at sewing. And this is the spy guy. He covers spy craft and codes. This monster is called the Cersei monster. He doesn't cover any, it's she. So she doesn't cover any topics, but she is something that everybody wants. So like the golfing, everybody wants this. And finally, we'll bring the characters together. Okay, so now here is the curriculum. We'll start from grade 3. If you are doing bilingual program, you might be asked to make a curriculum for your school to give everybody a more clear picture of your curriculum structure. But I find this helpful to me to think what we have been doing, what we have done, and how can we adjust these units to make each unit connect to each other, and what we can do in the future. So grade 3 content, we cover art, music, a lot of art and music, and natural science, because they just go to grade 3 from grade 2. Actually, they're still very young and little, and as in grade 3 they started their science class. So we want to give them something more simple, natural science, and a little bit physical science and technology. Language is mostly procedural language, because from here they started to have maker. So we hope in grade 3 maker they can look at the worksheet or their task. They look at the task, read the instruction, and they know what to do as a kind of a reading comprehension. So these are the projects we had from year 1. This is year 1. They are now all grade 6. Butterfly feeder, going green topic. So this is a PET bottle. We cut it in half, 1/3 of the bottle, and this is the bottle top. And we gave them a flower. They colored the flower, put it here, and we stuffed a styrofoam. Okay, tiny and sponge. Then hang it somewhere around the tree or by the window. Then it will attract butterflies to, so, and they can hang it around school or at home. Here is the compost. They actually made the compost. So we will ask students to bring in fruit peels left from their lunch or at home, or vegetable, and then put it in the bin, giant bin, and then we wait and let it cook. But it's not like it cook for 1 week. It's gonna take a longer time. So it's not that you put in your fruit peel right now and then you can use the very next week. So it all starts from the very beginning of the semester. Actually, what they are making now this year will be used next year. So students this year, they're using the compost from the last year. Yes. Okay. And with the compost, they will be making their own PET bottle pot here. So still, we're recycling all the PET bottles, and they bring in the seeds from home, whichever kind of fruits they have, and then they just plant it. Sundial, yeah, as you can see, this is just simply a cardstock and straw, and they make this, and under the sunlight, they can tell the time. Simple machines on campus, this is physical science. So we teach, there are 6 simple machines, so we will tell them what 6 simple machines are and what can they do, and then we'll take the classes around campus to find what simple machines we use on campus. So you can see these kids here, they found some simple machines, and then they just write or draw the picture of it on their worksheet. Then this is mostly because last 2 years, grade 3, they got 2 periods of bilingual, but because the school is getting bigger and we have more classes, so it got cut down to 1 period. So this electricity thing will happen in the 2nd semester, but this is from last year. They learned about circuits. They built their own switch like this. It only takes a cardboard box, a piece of cardboard boxes, and paper clip, 2 paper fasteners, connects to wires and battery. Then you can try whether this switch works. Okay. Then there is series and parallel circuits. So with this paper, this is copper tape. I think it used a lot in technology maker, 资讯创科. So we just got this copper tape and make it because last year, COVID-19 was bad, and we were told do not group up students, just let them sit one by one, and so we couldn't do group up activity with this circuit. So Greg just came up with the idea. We made this paper for each student so they can build their simple circuit here.
I'm going to interrupt and say,
Okay, please.
Hello? Okay. I didn't come up with the idea. Teacher Meng brought the paper circuits. She had a website from a new teacher service that she went to, I think year 1?
Year 1.
Year 1. And it was one of those things where we just filed the idea away. It was one of those things we liked, but we couldn't do anything with it at the time. And we developed it in year 2, really out of necessity, because we had to have 1 kid at 1 desk. And it worked so well that we have started following this format for the circuits now in other classes.
Okay, so you will be doing 1 build in the end of my talk, not this paper, but similar to this one. So yeah, it was the first year I went to the new teachers orientation, and I registered for 1 workshop, and they were talking about STEAM curriculum, and it was very interesting. They taught us what this copper tape thing. So I shared it with Greg, and then after 1 year, we had this thing. So on this paper, they were asked to build a series circuit and then change to a parallel circuit. Then, so you see they know how to build a switch. They know simple circuit, they know series and parallel circuit. So we asked them to build this ArtBot. It's a robot with the coloring pens and with circuit on it so it can draw. Even though it falls, it works. So, yeah, that's things they built. Oh, okay. So this is the paper I have here. As you can see, there are the instructions. Put the light bulb here, put the switch here, and put the battery here. For more advanced students, they would just look at the sentence and do accordingly. But if for slower students, they have these words here as a reference to help them. So moving on to grade 4, still some are focused on art and music, but more science and technology, and then home economics. Procedural language, but more synthesizing their own phrases, because they have 1 year of training, practicing, looking at this worksheet or build instruction and make this build happen. But then they have to advance it to tell people what to do, what this do, and what this is. So I'll start from here, art. We told them how to make paper, so we recycled a lot of paper, and then we teach them how to do this paper. With the paper they made, we told them abstract drawing techniques, dripping, splashing. So this one here, this is the paper he made, and he was making an art piece for himself. This one here. And this is a cooking show, home economics I mentioned before. So we used 2 books. One is How to Make an Apple Pie and Travel Around the World. So we introduced some famous cities around the world where you get very good ingredients for your apple pie. So they get to know the world and some famous cities. They know how to make an apple pie. And then the second book is Stone Soup. So we look at the book, and then they have to write a recipe for the stone soup as a practice for writing a recipe. Then we will give them a picture of a dish. They have to figure out how to write the recipe for it. For example, they made a recipe for a tuna sandwich. Then we told them, okay, next time you will be here and we will be filming you. You are going to do a cooking show. We have some materials like cardboard boxes here. If you want to make your show more real, you can bring back these things and make props for your groups. They came back with more things. The clay. We didn't tell them to do this, but they just did it themselves. Knife, shovel, all the kind of things. And this melon, I think it split from the middle. They just made it, I don't know how. And they made a banana, which you can peel it off. Yeah, so this class here. And tie-dye, which happened this year, because we have sewing lessons, and this is an advanced one, revised one. So we gave them a piece of fabric, then teach them how to do tie-dye. So they each do a special one for themselves. Then with the fabric, they sew a drawstring bag step by step. So this whole unit lasted for at least 1 month, I suppose. Yeah.
So each thing lasted for 1 month.
This one.
This was broken down. One week was the tie dyeing. The next week.
Speak with the camera.
So week 1 was the tie-dyeing. It was all hanging all everywhere, drying. And the next week was safety procedures and sewing techniques, and they just sewed, they all had laser cut name tags to sew to their bag.
Wow.
One of the reasons why we did that
was if we do anything with the lily pad and the sewable circuit in the future, they've already just done it with regular wood and wooden tags and fabric and the needle. So we can scaffold on that later if we needed to. But for this, it worked great for just the name tag on their bag. So they did that. Then the next week, they learned running stitch, right?
Yes.
They did running stitch. So we talked about it, focused on the prepositions and the up, over, down, over. And hey, they can.
Over, down, over.
Yes, they can recite this now. Like there was the Hakka sewing.
Yes.
There was a Hakka sewing workshop, and the kids were like, "Oh!"
I
and
told them, just do run and stitch now. They, run and stitch, okay.
That's great.
I'm super pleased with this and how it came out. Then the week after was backstitch, and slightly more complicated. And they finished their bags up. So it was about a month. And one of the things that made it easier this time around, even though there's probably a little bit more sewing this year than last year, well, 1 year of experience of us pulling our hair out, getting everything set up. But Ming found these needles where you don't have to thread the traditional way, you just snap it down. Fantastic.
Yeah, you just like thread in your hand and you just do this.
Yeah, you'll feel it pop.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
it's like, so that made it really easy, and we had all of the safety procedures and everything just locked down, so it was tightly run event this time around. And a lot of these kids use this for their
Grade
pencil
4.
cases now. Yeah, grade 4.
Wow, amazing. And they each sew their own bag.
Yes,
This is very impressive.
this
We're
is,
gonna, the bad,
The bad kids now, we're gonna just send them off to a sweatshop and make things for the school.
some boys are just very good at sewing. So this is their name tag. I'm not sure whether you know Lily Pad. 它就是可以在衣服上面可以发光的一种东西。And it works with microbit, but if you want to make it stay on your fabric, you have to sew. It only leaves small dots here, so you have to, it's sort of like sewing buttons onto your fabric thing, so it's easy for adults, but it's really something new, very new for kids, so they were practicing with this. And sound waves in cup foam, so we talked about sound waves, the theories of this, because you make sound with air and vibration, and with a very simple build cup foam, you can feel it. You can actually feel the vibration on your cups when your partner is talking on the other side. Okay, and then with this idea, they built a kalimba here, 木制琴. So they built it, they designed it, and then they tried to tune this kalimba and play a song we gave them. Okay, then more electricity thing. So in grade 3, they learned about simple circuits, which parallel and series circuits. They have a basic idea of electricity. So with this, they built their car. Now let's see if this works.
7 Chickies Mom, 3, 2, 1. 7 Chickies Mom, 3, 2, 1.
The task is to save Chicky's mom. Good, yeah, we made it. And their inventions, they created their own toys, and this is a advanced car. Switch. Why didn't you make a switch for it? He said. Okay. Right. So this worksheet goes together with this project. We offer them a word list and simple sentence patterns for them. They have to create their own toy and then tell everybody what this is and how we made it. You have to teach everybody how to make this toy and how to play with it. So this is grade 4, and then we're moving on to grade 5 and 6. So this semester, grade 5 and 6, they have these projects. So we started from submarines because a lot of kids gave us feedback that they want to build boats or submarine. So we started from this submarine, and then we just make small lessons before submarine to teach them buoyancy. What is buoyancy? And wind and tide, stars, navigation, skills you need if you want to travel on the sea. Then we will go to clean oceans, some going green issues, and green energy. So languages, because they are now grade 5 and 6, they, for this, they have learned a lot of nautical terms, but then they have to read more. So we will give them a short paragraph. They have to read it and comprehend. Then they rephrase sentences or do some simple translation. So the first unit, I think, is boat, and we told them about buoyancy, and we made a simple folio boat to try its buoyancy with marbles. Then they really built a boat. So you see this paper again, this circuit paper, but different from this one. It's designed for their boat. And more PET bottles, and this is milk carton, some rubber bands. So they try their build with the circuit. But this simple circuit can only make the boat move forward, but we want to make it move backward. So we designed another circuit paper, which you can simply turn the direction of the switch, and then you can make it move forward and backward. Planisphere. So the story is the makers, the characters, they were traveling on the ocean and they got lost. They got lost, or they lost their
The GPS was dead.
the GPS was dead, so they couldn't tell which direction they are going or where they were. So, but they can look at the sky and find a star, so you know where north is. So it goes with planisphere. And then periscope. So it goes with the story. I think Greg will talk about this later. So there is a periscope in the submarine that helps you to see what is happening out there. So they made a periscope. Well, the science behind it is there are 2 mirrors and it reflects in certain degrees, 45 degrees. Then this is a Cartesian diver, 沉浮子. So you squeeze it, then this fish here will sink. But then if you let go, it will float. So that's how you control the buoyancy of something. Because we need to control the buoyancy, so we can work in a submarine. So they made this submarine. Again, it's a PET bottle, and inside it is a balloon. So they pump in air, then this will float. If you suck up the air, it will sink again. This is 2 examples of a worksheet in grade 5 and 6. So as you can see, a lot of words here, but this is fill in the blank, and we offer them a word bank. They have to find clues in this paragraph, the words they understand, and try to figure out which one is the best answer for each blank. And then this is the Big Dipper. They have to know this is the Big Dipper and which star you look at, so you can find the North Star, and then write a sentence, a similar sentence based on this one here. Okay, so this is grade 5 and 6, and now it's time for you to build. Okay, so we mentioned this paper circuit because we use it a lot in class. You will each group will get a bag of circuits. We'll be using this one. So as you can see, grade 3 is simple circuit, grade 4 is telegraph, grade 5, 6 is switch for their boat. Before you open this bag, I want to do a simple review with everybody. I think everyone knows how circuit works. Yeah. So, please don't open it yet. Okay. So circuit is actually, think about it as a circle. But this is not a regular circle because something travels on it, and that is electricity. Yes. This is a circle with electricity travels on it. And so this won't be a regular thread. It's going to be something that electricity can travel on it, which is wire. But then you need something that gives you electricity. That is the battery. So this battery is set this way. I have a small question for everybody. Does it have to set this way? Does it have to set this way, or I can reverse it to have positive here?
You can change the battery, and you can make it go the other way. Yes?
Yes, but with the arrows here, it has to be set this way. I'm
then
sorry,
you
I meant, yeah, you set the battery first, but I started from circuit. So positive here because electricity goes out from positive and goes back to negative. So it has to be this way. Sorry. If you change the direction of the battery, then the flow of electricity will just work in a different way, the opposite way. So what does it do with this battery, electricity, and circuit? It must have some function on it. Simply, we want to make, for example, a light bulb. Light. So, but it doesn't matter positive or negative for a regular light bulb like this. So this is the concept of the simple circuit. Then we can make a switch here, make it an open circuit, then the light will turn off. And then you close the circuit, the light will be turned on, so you can control your circuit with the switch. Similar idea will be used in telegraph. Okay, here. Telegraph, yes. But a telegraph doesn't have anything to do with the light. Or maybe it can. We just change it to a buzzer, 风鸣器. So as you can see here, the buzzer, it has a red wire and a black wire. What is the red wire?
Pretty.
Thank you. Is it pretty here? The red wire is actually positive. Black one is negative. It has to be positive. It has to connect to negative. So this type here, it matters. The positive and negative. So it has to come from here, positive, and then go to positive. It cannot go to black. It has to go to white, red, sorry, and come out from black and going back to negative of the battery here. So when I close the circuit here, something will happen to the buzzer. It will make sound. So how do I send message with this sound? It has to be like long sound and short sound, and they work together, which is Morse code. So you can send Morse code. You control the switch here, like da 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 da, or da 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 da, something. Then you can send message from here. People on the other side, they can receive your message, and then they will know what you are trying to say. So now let's open the bag. And we take out everything. In every group, please make two small groups in all the groups. Each small group gets a piece of the paper.
Here's a paperclip.
Okay, first of all, I want everybody to look at this paper here. You have to look closely so you know what to do, right? So on this paper, on the left-hand side, there is a bold word, receive. You receive messages from here. And on the right-hand side, there is a send, right? So you send messages from here. So left-hand side, you have to make a circuit. On the right-hand side, you make another circuit. So, two paper have to work together. So, how many circuits will you be making? One or two? Two, that's right. Okay, so let's look on the right-hand side. Okay, just right-hand side, stand. And you see this battery terminal. You see the red wire, you see the black wire. Now, red wire is positive or negative? Do you see positive wire on your paper? So it goes to the paper fastener that says positive wire here. If you have a problem, please raise your hand so we can help you. Battery terminal here. Red wire goes to the paper fastener, which says positive. Then the black wire will go to negative. Yes. So just connect it. Make sure it touches the paper fastener that says negative wire. Oh, nice.
The first group.
Okay, yes.
First
So
successful group is there.
very good. Oh, okay. Now get the paper fastener and open. Oh, sorry, paper clip.
Open it a little bit.
It will look like this. Can you see? Okay. So you can see the longer side and the shorter side. We want the shorter side to touch the paper. So still on your stand side of the paper, it says, put the paper clip here. It doesn't have to touch the other paper fastener because it should work as a switch. Okay, then we pick up one set of wires, red and black, and then we connect them, the paper clips on the black and red wires to your paper from the stand side. So as you know, the red one goes to positive and the black one goes to negative. We just simply put the paper clip and make sure it touches the copper tape. So on the other side of the wire, it should go to your friend's receive side. Because you want to stand from your side and then your friend can receive from the other side. Make sure your paper clip touches the copper wire. Then now you can try press on the big paper clip you made as a switch and see if the buzzer on the other side makes sound.
There's, looks like there's some paper clips missing.
Okay, and then you need battery. Put batteries onto your battery terminals. Then, let's see if magic happens. If the buzzer doesn't make sound, please make sure all the touching points of the metal pieces, paper fastener, wire, paper clip, make sure they touch each other and make sure you put in the batteries in the right direction. Okay, thank you. So this happens, it just sometimes doesn't work, but you have to adjust your circuits. Sometimes it doesn't touch very well for your wire and the paper fastener. You just need to make sure one more time. If you check your circuit and it still doesn't work, please raise your hand so we can help you. We have extra set. Okay, if you have made your telegraph, please look at your book and find the worksheet we gave you. On the back side of the worksheet, there is a Morse code, and you can try to send messages to your friends.
Oh, here.
Okay, this is the worksheet you have at hand in your telegraph words. Here are some messages you can try to send your friend and you can decode what they're trying to tell you.
It's working now.
Who needs help?
Okay, if you touch it and it's not making sound, and if you take it off, it sound stops.
Yes.
We're done. Winnie. No. You.
This works, right? Does it work? Mine doesn't work.
You broke it?
Yeah, it works.
Where is it?
We didn't know why. It just sometimes it depends on how it feels.
Well, it's tape on paper, so the connections often go screwy. Okay. My goodness. That's cheap. Okay.
Oh, you're testing, not cheating. Seeing if it works.
我想要听听看这边会不会。
Okay, so there's a connection problem. There might be a tear in these spots. So we can look here. You might just not have good contact under here. Or you broke it. Constant connection. That's it. Well, what happened here?
Okay.
Oh, I'm paying attention.
This is all
I bypassed this way. I'm reading it upside down. But yes, lots of problem solving there. We'll talk about what's happening. There, just there's a little bit of a space there in contact, so we have to press a little harder.
so that there's contact.
Let's try that. Oh, you broke it.
How is everything during the year?
You can just. I will get you another color. That's what I'm doing.
Okay, so this is the end of my part. If you have done this, and if you have any questions you want to ask me, feel free to do so. And if you would like to Greg, can do it now. I actually got a question that do we have more time preparing for this? We actually don't. Actually, we have very tight schedule and we ask everybody to work together with us so that we can make this as fast as possible. But anyways, really you just, once you make, the first one is always, first one always takes the most time. But once you get to know how this works, it wouldn't spend you that much time for the second one, even the third time, yes.
Can you explain to us how this Morse code works?
Sure.
How do you actually send them? Like, I see this long line, 4 short dots, and I was trying to match it up with the alphabets.
Yeah, okay.
And it's 26 alphabets with the numbers. It's a really complicated system.
Okay, for example, let's look at number 3 here. So you see 1 dot, 2 dashes, and 1 dot.
Oh, okay.
A dot is short, a dash is long. So it would sound like this. It doesn't make sense. Like this.
Oh, it's a P. It's a P.
So you have to
Remember this, so you can decode very fast when you hear this. You can work on light. So, yeah.
World War II, so they didn't use.
In World War II, so they didn't use radio, they would flash lights to the other ships.
Oh, flashlights. They're supposed to flash lights with these, not sound.
Well, either. So
Okay.
it's really, the sound part isn't what's important, it's short and long.
Short and long.
So this is actually kind of a binary code here. And one of the things that they did, I know you're saying it's complicated, but one of the things that I think is really cool about it is that there's very efficient use. E is the most common letter in the English language, and it's the shortest possible sound or duration, the delay. So it's just dot. So they did go back and they've structured it to be the most efficient that they can. And Morse code is still used today, but it's hobbyists, and then there's these things called number stations that spies use on shortwave radio, and they still will have broadcasts with things like this. But it's Morse code done with some other code also, so only the spies are capable of decoding the messages.
Can we try like STEM? Can everybody try STEM? Any Morse code like
So
STEM?
that would be,
Okay.
so S would be 3 dots, I believe.
Try it out.
Try
Oh,
S.
it's cut off.
Sorry.
You have
scroll down, you scroll down.
I short can, yes.
Okay, right.
Okay, so
S
S here is
three
3 short.
3 short,
And then 1 long.
and then a STEM, 1 long. T is 1 long,
Yes, this is T.
and then E,
1 short.
1 short, and then 1 M, 2 long. Yay! We're sending Morse code with.
Gongshi, gongshi.
Very good.
So this one here is actually, this is 1 letter, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 letters. And you just have to decode it and see whether this is one vocabulary here. Okay.
So the way this ties in,
So, the makers, and we'll talk more about the plot in a moment, but the makers, Chicky asked his grandfather to help him steal the Xerxes monster because Spy Guy tricked him into blowing up the Grimwood power plant. And Chicky didn't want to be a terrorist, he didn't want to hurt anyone, but he was tempted by the money to reopen school because he really wanted to learn. So when he saw that when the power plant down, the electric cage was going to be open and the monster would run and destroy everything, he panicked and he asked his grandfather to help so they could steal the monster and bring it someplace safe. So they needed somebody's help. He called his old maker professor So they flew in the Cococopter and lowered a giant electromagnet and carried the Xerxes monster away. So the previous lesson was electromagnet, because the first telegraphs were just electromagnets set up in different train stations. And there's a similar setup to this, where one would go to the next station, and so my button would control somebody else's receive in a different station. So while they are flying away with the Xerxes monster, they receive a special coded message on the Maker channel, and Professor Penny decodes the message, and that's when they learn that Chicky's mom has been kidnapped. And they need to send a secret message back out to the person giving them this news. So Penny says, don't use the open airwaves. We have to use a telegraph and send Morse code on the Maker channel. So that's why they build this. And so they have it. These 1, 2, 3, this is the message that the makers send back to the mystery scientist who's helping them. And the kids decode it, and they have a chance to send this message or their own messages with their friends in class.
Okay, so once again, as you can see, I think this takes a lot of time to prepare. Yes, it takes a lot of time. It takes people to work together. So all of us, we are not just doing this bilingual program. We have our regular classes. I teach grade 5. Teacher Marie teaches grade 6, so we have our regular textbooks to prepare. Even though we only each cover one grade, but we take admin jobs. So it's admin, regular English class, and then bilingual at the same time. It happens to all the English teachers in our school. So really, you have to find time to talk to each other and prepare. If everybody works together, it's not going to take as long as you think, even though it still takes some time. But everybody works together, then you won't feel like you are working on this alone. That's my part. Thank you.
Wonderful. Shall we do a short break?
Short break.
She said she loves questions. So
Yeah,
you want to
would you
ask
like-
detailed questions about the bill. She's going to kill me.
I think, yes. Okay, perhaps before the break, do you have any questions for me? Any questions? Yes.
What's your phone number?
Hello, I'm Joanna, and I really like the activities you create. That is the point to let students enjoy and have fun in each activity. And what I want to ask is, did you ever come into a situation that you need to teach the students some background knowledge before doing this activity, and how did you deal with that without lecturing?
Without lecturing,
Yes, to teach about
teach
the
this science theory.
yes, or some basic knowledge, but it's not going like lecturing. Yes.
Okay, so we start from drama. They will have an idea of what they are going to build in this lesson. And then we will go to Blackboard. So yes, they built this telegraph today. What's the science behind the telegraph? So because they have learned circuit before, they learned switch before. So it wouldn't feel very brand new to them. They will at least know, okay, circuit I know. It's just a different version of circuit. It works with a buzzer. So it really builds on their old knowledge, their past knowledge on things, and then we're just adding a little bit more new thing. So it's really all based on their knowledge before, and they will learn this new thing. So we will show them this with Blackboard. Then we will take a break. Usually that's the end of the first session. They take a break and then they come back. We will tell them, okay, you're going to build this. So because everybody has a simple and basic concept of the circuit, so I didn't show you the build instruction. But every build, we go together with the build instruction. we will show them, okay, how to make this thing. We ask questions while we are showing them the build instruction, and then at the end, we will make sure they understand how to make it. They started to make their own. During this time, they still forget because, you told them the first step, and for example, you have 10 steps, then they forgot the first step. So you have to check group by group and to remind them what happened and let them think, sort of think, because they can read positive, they can read negative. They know black is negative, they know red is positive, but just when they see the picture, their head just went blank. I don't know where to put this, So you have to check group by group and remind them, yes, black goes to negative and red goes to positive. So, yeah, kids, if they remember, they will do this without you looking after them.
Yeah, I think that's really great because kids are learning some scientific knowledge from the textbook, and being able to transfer that knowledge into an application and a hands-on activity, that's another thing. Like in this group, we were sorting out how to make it work, and we were trying out different ways and problem solving, and that's just hands-on, and we learn it. We learn how to make it work by trying it out, problem solving. So this is a fantastic way of learning. Thank you for bringing this wonderful ideas and all the different types of STEM activities that you've done. Thank you.
Teacher Jessica. Okay, so shall we call Greg?
Yes, let's go for a break. We'll take more questions later on after the second session and the third session. Okay. Let's do a 5-minute break because 5-minute break. Yeah, 5-minute break. We have some refreshments outside and paper cup with tea bags and also some cookies and crackers for those of you who haven't had breakfast yet.
We will help from everybody. Please put the circuit paper and everything back to the bag and we will be helping.
Okay. Thank you. Please. Yeah.
I think this is okay. So we'll be trying to, I know you try not to cover the slides, but I think sometimes it's okay, because it's really odd to have those black spaces.
Right, so all the time
yeah, and this can be, smaller. The camera could be smaller.
Okay. And then this one is okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
家都是有经过把它都给它抓很大后面，然后3个那我觉得站在旁边人家不好意思，没有这个角度来说，很多电子也在里面，但是在远看，这个不用跑了，对，
可是像我们这个比较高的，对这个没保险，因为这是什么？这个是什么投资的？因为我的因为我也喜欢防偷窥是不是？了解下来，为什么？因为它不用联动，因为联动好像会要联动叫什么？这叫什么？叫 DJ。是哦，就是要靠 APP 联动才可以转。我还以为它是任何的手机。这个吗？我就想看嘛，谁放在这里啊？如果他给我打到。
手机的内件还有什么？就是手机的，手机的就蛮广，就可以这样子玩。对，60以上的。那没差的话就也就没本来。一样。哇，感觉那个。对啊，超高端的。对啊。我看看这个，这你讲吗？
这个 在想 Terrace 什么的。
重，来去放给他你好。
So there's QR up here for my YouTube, but there really isn't anything directly related to the maker classes. However, to keep my PowerPoint and photo editing skills sharp, I make little videos for children's books. So I'll take like Not a Box or I Want My Hat Back, and I will take them and I'll do the recording and picture editing and sometimes add sound effects and animation. So you'll see stuff like that. There may be stuff you can use in a regular English classroom. You'll see stuff like that on my YouTube.
No, it's not, still not sure.
Good to go? Okay, so hello again. I'm Greg. And that's... okay. Oh, so before I get too involved in anything, part of what we do is we get feedback from our students so we know what direction we should move in later. After having done this, you've gone through part one. Part two focuses on the drama. Now, there is no drama printed in the book, but we did bring one here today. Now, my part of the presentation will be talking about the drama, the purpose of it, how it's made, and all things related to that. But would you like to see the purpose and how it's made, or would you like to see a drama, an actual drama first? Which I leave it to you guys. Drama first and then theory, or theory then drama? Drama first. Okay. Is that this one? We good? I think she knows where it is. Hey. Okay. So, I will say, a lot of this is structured like storyboards for a movie or comic book style. You're going to see any narration is in a yellow square, just like in a comic book. In our last issue, Superman was tied to the tree. Blah, 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 blah. So we have our recap here. They wanted drama first. So every character you will see has a different stylized word bubble, which you can't really do in comics, but you can do in PowerPoint. So it makes it very easy for the kids when they are looking, because some of the kids don't listen to us, they just read it themselves, or they're listening and reading. Some of the kids like to say it themselves while it's happening. But you'll see that it is set up so each character has their own voice bubble. The makers silently move through the ocean in their stealth submarine. Okay, a little bit of a background. Chicky's grandfather and Chicky's dad built a submarine out of special stealth materials that they found on Skull Island. And that is why this submarine is undetectable. Yes, I know it's nonsense, but the kids know. They glide through the water undetected. They finally found peace hiding under the ocean. However, they haven't seen the sun in weeks. They're all beginning to feel the effects of cabin fever. You guys know cabin fever? How does that translate?
船舱压力症。
There we go.
我乱翻了。
They will have to make a decision soon. When and where will it be safe to go to the surface? They've been hiding. They were in a ship that was being tracked by the mysterious monks of Khalil, who were using their crystal ball to track them all over the world. So they were constantly on the run. And then Skull Island itself is made out of these stealth minerals, so they were able to hide there. And they used the submarine that is built out of this. So now the monks cannot find them. Here they power out through the ocean. A recurring theme this semester has been pollution in the ocean. So we try to put as much kind of PG Disney-friendly trash with the business logo of the mysterious monks of Khalil. Clear with a K, so it's clearly not anything else.
Gross! The ocean has gotten so much worse since I was last in this sub. Oh, Tom, I miss you.
Chicky's father.
You be proud of your boy. He still does things without thinking. But when he builds, oh, he reminds me so much of you.
Mom cries.
Next slide, please.
I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
Your daughter is talking to herself again.
Leave her be. This whole sub is like a giant memorial to Tom. He broke it. This has to be difficult for her. It's why I only went to Skull Island as a last resort. By the way, we will periodically check for comprehension, and sometimes kids will just raise their hands and be like, what? Or other times we just ask them to say these things back to us in Chinese, and it's up to them to tell me if they know it. Maybe they don't and they're just lying to me, I don't know. My daughter has been through enough pain. That's why I didn't want to go back to Skull Island. I didn't want to upset her more.
That light over there just started blinking.
Oh, great. It's the proximity alarm. And this is one of those moments where we can turn to the kids and say, what's that? I'm not going to ask you. There's something nearby. There's the answer. Do you see anything on your sonar?
Nope. Everything is clear. I've been keeping my eye on the screen.
You notice just eye.
Oh, sorry.
No. You have to. It is just eye, is the point. Between Penny and Grandpa, they only have one set of eyes. It's probably just garbage. I can't believe how polluted the ocean is.
I guess we need a better look.
I'll bring us up to periscope depth.
You should tell the boys to get the periscope ready too.
It's like he has no bones. Can you dance like that? No problem. Remember, I beat you in the dance contest back in grade 3. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. No, we're going to do this for an hour, and I don't have to do it anymore. Yes, I did. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. Did you want an extra? Oh, you didn't. There we go. Are you two dancing again? We have work to do. There's something above us. We need to check it out. Activate the periscope. I want to have a look. Oh no. What's wrong? You're talking about the pipe on top of the sub, right? Yes. Well, it all started about 2 weeks ago. Don't do that! No flashbacks! Cersei has it. What? Why? She was having so much fun playing with it. And I thought, if we have a big pipe on the top of the sub, water's just going to leak in anyway. So, I let her keep it. Chicky? Yeah? You amaze me. Oh, thank you. Not in a good way. You and Jing should come up to the bridge now. We're going to have to build a new periscope from scraps. If it works. No, you didn't. So, the makers get to work on their new periscope. They take mirrors off of the bathroom walls, and they cut pipes down from one of the toilets. Grandpa is still wondering if Amphibian dropped Chicky when he was a baby. Meanwhile, see, totally a different Khalil. Meanwhile, in the Khalil dungeon, ouch. So this is Zoom, the IT director for the monks of Khalil. He couldn't repair the computer last week, so they dropped him in the dungeon. He's just saying ouch now. Because he's a turtle, haha. Meanwhile, in the sneaky sub, I haven't said this in a long time. Down periscope! Let's see what's happening up there.
Skull Island. Associated with the Periscope. So, this build, well, we're not doing this one, but for this, they would have then built a periscope. And we had a million great possible builds, but budget. So we ended up getting 5 centimeter square mirrors, and we got a pattern. So we printed it out on oak tag, and they put the periscope together with just 2 small mirrors and oak tag, and 2 kids had to share because budget. Okay, but now we're going to talk about how this ridiculous puppet show is made. So always be creating. So we are going to dissect the drama, its purpose, its structure, and the tools that we use. But first you're wondering, well, who is this a-hole here in front of me? And I will tell you. So I'm Greg, I'm from America. I first went to school in King University in New Jersey. My major was sociology and secondary education, which got me a social studies teaching certification for K-12. And from there, I've also been a scuba instructor, and when I would periodically get fed up with teaching. How many teachers are there, like your student teachers, or not graduated yet in this room? Nobody.
Yes, we do have student
I know.
teachers. Raise your hand. 学生大学
Oh, okay, well, you know who you are, that's fine. I know there's like 16 of you in here. So you want to hide, fine. But I will tell you the statistics in America, 51% of all new teachers quit within the first 3 years and find a new career. So, I hope you can sew. Now, I love teaching, but it's all of the backroom shenanigans that would drive me crazy, and I would take a break and go into an education-adjacent field. I've worked in aquariums and done other side things that were always kind of related to education. Were one of my other weird interests. I worked in IT way back. I'm not going to even say how long ago, but I worked back in IT a long time ago. So all of these things together, me telling you about my background, really just means I'm completely unqualified to be teaching any kind of STEM class. I can't draw to save my life, so there goes the A in STEAM. I wanted to go back and get a chemistry degree, but the math, well, there's a thing about that, but the math, I couldn't handle the calculus, so there goes the M in STEAM. The E, well, for engineering, I can't do math, so there goes the E. What does that leave? There's science and technology. Maybe technology, and science, probably not. So all that's left with, for me, is T. But I'm not going to do T. I was reminded after, both of my parents are teachers, I share a lot of the stuff that I do. I was reminded by my mom that much of what I do here is very similar to weird games I would play when I was a kid. So I don't even think there was training involved in any of this. This is just me as an adult continuing to be weird with toys. But here is the world of Cluck University. The characters and the settings and everything have developed each year more or less just as we needed them to. So our lead character was originally just supposed to be Chicky versus the Grimbler. But, you know, real world, you see things are so black and white, and it developed more and more. But grade 3 focuses on Chickyfindia, named by the kids. Why, I don't know, but they chose this name, so I said, okay. He's an average chicken. I'm an average chicken. He goes to school at Cluck University. He's a student, just like you. Yeah, I know you're true. Chicky wants to become an engineer, so he studies hard. He also takes maker classes. He wants to become a balanced student. Here's Dean Grimbler. He runs Cluck University. Hello. So, the Grimblers come from a different country. So, they don't natively speak Chickenese. So, there is always a small pause when they are talking because they're translating in their heads. So, they are in the story, they have an accent that is different from everyone else, and there are pauses because they are trying to think of the right word in Chickenese. And there are many different chickens in this world. So there's Grandpa Joe, Chicky, and background people. And there are many different Grimblers in this world. The Grimbler government and the chicken government are always fighting. Now, here we can see a Venn diagram where we have Grimbleland and Chicklandia, although you'll see in the map it's actually reversed. And in between is Cluck University, which is sort of a demilitarized zone where they can share culture and learning and ideas and try to promote peace. And there's, if you guys think about doing stuff like this was made with, this is not a real island, this is not a country or anything like that. There are resources online for people who like role-playing games to generate your own maps using fractal math and geometry, and I went through several different iterations because I wanted a country divided with the chicken tone and the Grimbler tone and have it sort of look like a Venn diagram. So I sat there going through a whole bunch of iterations until I found one that I liked. Oh, and this white region here, those are the Khalil Mountains. Now, no fighting is allowed in this zone here. Oh, okay, in that zone in between in Cluck University. It's a place for peace and learning. But sometimes trouble still happens. So grade 3, well, let's talk about the world of Cluck University. Grade 3 focused on student life. And towards the end of grade 3, we see other things that happen. No story works well if it doesn't exist in a world. Like, here we see them all at the movie theater, but you don't have enough background to look at these characters and care about these characters and wonder what's in the room next to the movie theater. But enough stuff has been built for the kids where if it moves into another scene, things just make sense. It exists in an ever-expanding world that works on its own logic and rules, and the kids just accept and move with everything that happens. It's somewhere between a comic and superhero sort of logic with cartoon elements. So we have these major groups here: the Drumsticks, the Makers, the Military, the Mysterious Monks of Khalil, not the other word, clearly not, because it's with a K, and the Xerxes. So who are the Drumsticks? Well, the Drumsticks, Flippy is the singer of the Drumsticks. She got picked on in school because she's biracial. She's half Grimbler, half chicken, and she didn't really fit in with either groups. So she would go home and be sad. And one day, the guidance counselor recommended, hey, go to the library, read this book about being mixed. And the name of that book is Mixed. So she read that and she felt better, and we moved into color stuff, and then she color mixing, color theory. And then she started learning sewing because she randomly found a book in the library. So anytime we do anything with sewing or music, it's going to be a Drumsticks themed drama, and all of the worksheets and lessons and things will revolve around these characters. The makers. Well, we have Grandpa Joe. He tells everyone that a shark attacked him, and that's why he lost his leg and eye. But no one ever really trusts Grandpa's stories. For literature, he'd be called an unreliable narrator. So one thing that no one believed until they actually went and stole the Xerxes is that Grandpa built a helicopter just out of coconuts. Because it didn't show up in the stories for the characters. It was just Grandpa telling stories to the characters. And then one day, whoop, there it is. I don't think it was real. Mom! So Mom Findian, she shows up originally just for a Mother's Day crafting lesson. And then she's captured, and then she has to be rescued. And at that stage in the dramas, it's almost like, the Princess Peach in the Mario stuff. She exists just to be saved. But in the later stories, she takes on more of a leadership role. She becomes the captain of the stealthy sub. Chicky. I wish Chicky wasn't based so much on me, but I kind of think he is. He reasonably knows what's going on, so he doesn't pay attention, and then misses important information and screws things up, and then has to deal with his problems. And I wish I could say that was only me as a student, but it continues to be so. So it's very easy when we write for Chicky. I might say, I'm going to say this now, in terms of the writing and all of this stuff, for legal reasons, my contract says that anything I create for the curriculum is owned by the school, but my coworkers, they own their lessons. So really, my coworkers write everything. They write everything. I'm only assisting. So I might say I, but anytime I'm saying I, really it's something I do under their direction. They own all of this stuff. I didn't actually create anything. Okay, moving on. Disclaimer finished. Professor Penny. Professor Penny is named after an engineer friend of mine who patiently answers my questions whenever I need information for background stuff or where to look for a lesson where we are doing. Also, whenever her laboratory is getting rid of stuff, I get a phone call. Hey, I have this garbage. Do you want it? You see if you can use it in maker class? Yes, always. And then make Marie drive out, and we load up Marie's car with, I'm not going to say what kind of lab, because I just don't want to, I don't know if she can get in trouble for this or not, but we go to the lab and we get all of this garbage stuff and look to see how we can use it in classes. A lot of it's been very useful. So she got a character named after her. But Penny, there's always some kind of industrial, I don't know if you guys ever took like a wood shop class or something like that, but in America, there's always a character, there's always a teacher rather, who like teaches industrial arts, wood shop, metalworking, something like that. And there's somebody missing a finger, or they've got this crazy scar because they worked in a factory and they weren't paying attention. So, and then they go into teaching because I guess they weren't allowed to work certain machines if they don't have all of their fingers. But they always end up being a teacher, and there's a mystery to what's wrong. So there's Penny, and she's obsessed with safety, which is me. So I'm always yelling, "What are you doing? Don't run! Put that down! You can stop!" So to take it off of me and put it onto a character, Penny was created. Penny will yell at her students about safety, and then I won't have to. Jing! Jing was Chicky's classmate. So they went to school together, they hated each other at first, and after building the Artbot, which comes to life, they had a strong friendship. Jing is essentially just a grimmer version of Chicky, and they play off of each other. The kids, the moment "no you didn't" shows up, the kids know what's about to happen. So there's a lot of nonsense like that between the two of them. Oh yeah, well I'll get to that. Who are the makers running from? I have to move through this a little bit faster, I think. So, there's the Grimbler Army. We have General Grimbler, Admiral Snackbar, the Grimbler Army, the Grimbler Navy. There's the spies. There's the Grimbler spy and the Chicken spy. And we have Sergeant Chicky and his men. And there should be a Chicken Navy, but we haven't needed any scenes with them, so I didn't make the characters. This takes too much time. At the very end, if you guys care to know, I can tell you, this is just done in GIMP. It's like a free version of Photoshop. And there are plenty of tutorials on Yahoo on how to do things, because I'm sure you could probably just find it in Chinese and have an easier explanation than me trying to do it. All right, the mysterious monks of Khalil. They are just behind any mysterious action, and anything bad that happens to Chicky seems to come from the monks of Khalil. And now, I guess you're going to pick up the monk. Yes. IKEA. Yes. So I found the toy first, and then said, how can we use this guy? Now, what is the Xerxes? Well, the Xerxes was really just somebody I didn't like, and I compared this person to Godzilla. And you can't really use Godzilla, so I got a different Japanese monster. This is from the Ultraman shows, but all of the characters are some kind of toy. So the Xerxes monster is a powerful, hideous monster with a horrible scream, and that scream can be weaponized. So both militaries want her, and the Gribblers had her, and Spy Guy wanted to trick Chicky into getting the monster loose. But all of that backfired for the governments. So whenever we need, well, why are they chasing these guys? Oh, well, they want the Xerxes. Or why are they blowing up this island? Oh, well, they're looking for the Xerxes. So it's a cheap, quick and easy storytelling device. Where Ming mentioned, it's called the MacGuffin. Like why? I think Hitchcock first called it that. Like there's a man being chased down the street by mysterious government agents. Well, why? Well, he has this briefcase with spy stuff inside. Well, what is it? I don't know. Spy stuff, and they want it back. It's the MacGuffin. You can think back to so many movies you've seen now. I think half of you won't know Pulp Fiction, but the other half might know Pulp Fiction, Quentin Tarantino. And that movie, they're all going for the briefcase where they open it and it shines and like, oh, is that what I think it is? Well, that briefcase in Pulp Fiction is time. Fine, never mind. So, why am I playing with toy chickens? Honestly, I have no idea. I ask myself this every morning while I'm having coffee. What happened in my life? But the answer I give to people to justify paying me is Sesame Street. Sesame Street was the first program of its kind. The Children's Television Workshop extensively researched what they would do. I think for 2 years before they ever put a show on TV. And one of the most important things they took from all of this was that when children watch TV, they don't want to listen to adults. And they don't really feel compelled to listen to other children because, you know, it's their peers. They don't really have to listen to them. But children are much more likely to pay attention to puppets. And that is why you're not going to see a segment on Sesame Street where it's just an adult talking. They will be with a puppet, and it holds their attention. So why am I playing with puppets? I'm going to say, honestly, I don't know. But the real reason, the reason I will tell people so they keep paying me is because of Sesame Street. Because this ensures that the kids will continue to pay attention. Also, NASA. NASA uses a rubber chicken that they've called Camilla. And
back when I was teaching in Korea, these things were really popular 7 years ago, I think. And I used to just hide them in my coworkers' drawers and things when they had open class, just so there was a random thing to throw them off while people were watching them. But the kids liked it, and we started doing more and more things with the rubber chicken. A friend of mine, another teacher, mentioned to me that NASA also used the chicken, and I started reading about NASA doing this. And they use a rubber chicken that they've sewn a spacesuit. There's a video, you can go on YouTube, kids sent a rubber chicken up into the stratosphere. So there's a video where it goes up on balloons, and you see this chicken up in space. And kids did it. So they use it for a lot of their STEM programs, and for the very young kids, when they have an astronaut come and want to tell kids about space, they found that the kids are afraid to talk to the astronauts. And it's very intimidating to talk to someone who's been to space, but they will ask the chicken the questions. So little kids will be fine to ask the chicken questions. Or they'll say, can you whisper the question to me and I'll ask Camilla. So they'll just use the chicken as a device to get the kids to talk. So I will say that this is the reason why I use the chickens in class, but really I'm just a weird old guy playing with toys. Now, I like using IKEA stuff in class because I'm a petty and spiteful person. And someone referred to the maker class as IKEA learning. And I said, well, what's wrong with IKEA learning? So I took the insult and I decided to turn it against them. Because I think that flat pack furniture is the gateway drug into becoming a maker, and it's going to get you hooked. There are a lot of people who've had no formal training with engineering and mechanics, but then you get these pieces and you can start seeing how things are put together, and someone planned this, and wow, this is so cool how this all fits together. How did they do that? And then you build up and up. You may just not care and just put the things together, or it sparks that curiosity. It certainly did for me. I remember when I had my IT job, having to build lots of IKEA furniture and getting more and more curious about how things are put together. So there is a program that happens, I think, every year in IKEA with the Sagoskat plush toys. This is the very essence of Maker right here. Kids make a drawing and they write a small paragraph explaining their drawing. This is all over the world. It's not a write in English thing. But they say why they think this drawing would make a good plush toy. And IKEA chooses 5 or 6 each year, and they produce them. And they sell them, and the money they make from these toys go to children's charities. And I just really love this idea. And while I was being spiteful and looking for build ideas in IKEA, I came across what I call the Grimbler, but it's just Sagoskat Monster. And I remember it was on sale, and there was a really, really big one. It was 300 NTD, and I was like, I like that. Am I going to use that in class? Are you just going to buy a big, stupid stuffed toy for me? So I just bought 2 small ones that were 30 NTD each. And now, instead of the big giant one, this is all I've got for a prop in class. And this has become so indispensable to everything I do. Every day I wish I could get that. I've even written to IKEA asking them if there's any way, who owns the rights to it? Is it the kid? Is it IKEA? I'll special order. They just ignored me. If you know anybody high up at IKEA, let me know, because I want that. Okay, so I've kind of explained why I'm playing with toys, but how am I playing with the toys? Well, this is where it gets even more embarrassing, because I'm just a weird person playing with stuffed animals, but the
dramas, while each week is basically set up like a TV show. Small conflict, fix the conflict, resolution that seems like they're further on in where they are. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But they all the chapters put together do tell an overall story, and all of the characters have some sort of development as they move on. Somewhere in the 1940s, I'm going to say 43, but I don't remember, Joseph Campbell published The Hero with 1,000 Faces. And he analyzed myths and legends from cultures all over the world. And he identified like 12 common elements. And this is something that movies have turned around and adapted. And this template here has been followed by most of the major blockbusters that you might think of. I'll get to them in just a minute. But we have our normal, average character who is living a normal, painfully average life. There's nothing special about me. And a mysterious person comes and says, "You're a wizard, Harry." "I'm a what?" "A wizard." And it pulls them into this magical world of adventures where they are tested and tried, and sometimes they succeed, but most of the time they fail, and they learn so much from their failures. And oh my God, the way they failed, isn't that just like me? Can't I learn something from this hero's failures? Is there a lesson, a moral lesson here for me? And as they learn more and they become so human, they become more human than human. They are able to be this great hero, this example of whatever culture that they represent, and they become something more. And when they become something more, then they are able to correct all of their past sins and errors, and they try to set things right, and they return back to their normal life a changed person. So this is a theme that happens in so many movies. One of the earliest things, not a movie, Homer's Odyssey follows this. Like I said, Harry Potter, The Matrix, which, God, I was just out of university when it came out, I think. So some of you probably weren't born or pooping yourselves at that time. I'm not sure. But number 4 is coming out, so you should get familiar with The Matrix. Star Wars. Luke, farm boy, desert planet. No, you're a Jedi, Harry. I'm a what? A Jedi. Big, fantastic space voyage. And then the new Star Wars. Rey, desert planet, scavenger. You're a Jedi, Rey. I'm a what? Lord of the Rings. Gandalf shows up to the Hobbit's place. He's like, "I'd really just like to have tea and sit by the fire." "No, here's a magic ring. Now go run through the woods." Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. He just wanted to be a wrestler and make money. And then because of his hubris and attitude, his uncle who raised him got killed by a mugger he could have stopped. So he learned this horrible lesson and turns and takes his powers and his talents to fight crime. Blah, 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 blah. So there are so many examples of these. Was there one more? No, okay. So, Chicky. I think I have to speed up. Yeah, oh wow, a whole bunch of fast nods. I have to speed up. Chicky lives a normal life. A lot of the original builds focus on being at school, his rivalry with Jing, and falling in love with a mysterious Gribbler girl, and the different contests they have to try to win her love. Then there's the call to adventure. Chicky is just learned how to use the Gigo toy kits, and he realizes he can help the chicken army with his new engineering knowledge and building skills. But this causes a problem because the dean of Clark University never wants his students to use their knowledge for war. So the dean's mom tells him to close the school. And now Chicky has to get a crappy office job. So he goes back to regular life. And he hates his job. He's selling defective robots on Alibaba. But then Spy Guy comes with another call to adventure. And Chicky doesn't want to do it. But then there's the temptation of money. And he can open up the school again himself. He can run the school and take classes. He's very excited at this idea. So he takes a few jobs from Spy Guy. The final job being blow up the Grimler power plant. He needs help. Grandpa agrees only because he knows Chicky will still do it by himself and probably get killed. And if Chicky gets killed, well, Chicky's mom is going to kill Grandpa. So he helps. Then the Xerxes gets loose, and they are in trouble. And, oh my God, how do we fix this problem? Well, you can always go to your teachers if you're in trouble. So Grandpa says, let's get Professor Penny. She's one of the best makers in the world. Anyway, Professor Penny makes the giant electromagnet so they can lift the Xerxes cage. And there's the Cococopter that Grandpa built in grade 3. And then they find out that Mom has been thrown in a dank, dark dungeon somewhere in Grimbleland, and they have to rescue her. We know about this. As revelations continue, students are going to learn more about Chicky's father. All we know is that he is Major Tom, a test pilot for the Chicken Air Force, and he's gone now. Chicky matures. He realizes that while the monks are bad, he is ultimately responsible for his actions and his current predicament. Yes, 404 because this is more end of semester 2, beginning of next year kind of story. And while we have an outline for what's going to happen, it's still not written yet. One of these dramas takes an obscenely long amount of time to write, or make. Like, once we know what we're going to do, making it takes more time than deciding what we're going to do. Atonement. Well, one of the things is they have to go rescue Mom. You saw them crash through the cup wall. Well, here they've built a monster truck school bus that they smash through the wall and they save Mom. Also part of their atonement is rescuing the Xerxes, bringing her to an island, keeping her safe on the island. Then they find that the island is too polluted, so they take the Xerxes off of the island and they bring her to Skull Island, where she'll be safe and happy and play with the periscope. They are going to confront the mysterious monks of Khalil in order to clear their names and to begin to undo the damage caused during this adventure. All part of atonement. Oh my God, that's a lot of words. TLDR. All right. The makers are always finding themselves in dangerous situations. They use brains over brawn to solve problems. If you were alive in the 80s and you were in America, you might know the A-Team. They were a crack squad of commandos who were framed for a crime they did not commit. So they were arrested and put in jail, and they promptly escaped. And they lived in the LA underground, being hired as soldiers of fortune to help people to help the helpless and inspire people. And they were very often stuck in a situation where they had to build something to fight bad guys. But while this is 80s fun, there's lots of guns and things like that, and I make it a point that anything we build can't be used for violence. We're never going to build a gun or a catapult in Maker class while I'm part of it, because I don't want kids doing something stupid and that being on my conscience. So then we go to MacGyver, which probably more of you are familiar with. He was always solving problems, and he made it a point that any of his solutions were non-violent. He was not going to hurt anyone. I distinctly remember one episode where he's with this guy and they get an Uzi machine gun. And the one guy's ready to shoot the bad guy. He says, "What are you doing? Give me that." Says, "We're not killing anyone." "They're going to kill us." "I don't care." And they use the Uzi to open a fire hydrant and spray everybody down with water instead of killing them. So he always found a way to solve his problems without hurting anyone. And that's, while I myself am not very good at doing that, I still
aspire to that, and I want to teach that to the kids, so blah. Cause and effect in problem solving. The Martian. If you've seen this movie, you know it's just solving one problem after another. If this thing is going to kill me, okay, I've solved that. Oh, well, my solution is now going to kill me. Okay, I have to solve that. And it's on and on and on. This also has a great maker feeling to it, because the guy who wrote the book to teach himself writing. It was a writing exercise. So, maker. Learning by doing. Cause and effect. Well, Chicky and Jane were playing on the Coco Cruiser. The cruiser's made out of coconuts. And they crashed it. And then they have to solve the problems they've caused from crashing the Coco Cruiser. So they have to do different things to atone. Now, how is this insane puppet show made? We legally use 3 different sets of software for this. But we start grouping the builds, because the builds work better when they are, instead of science groupings, thematic groupings for the story. So there's a progression that feels natural to the story, to the kids. So if we're looking at things like, oh, well, a Cartesian diver, that's fun. Periscopes are fun. Pet bottle boats, well, that's fun too. But what do we do with all of this? Well, we change pet bottles, boats to submarines, and we have a submarine unit where we talk about buoyancy. Oh, submarines use periscopes, great. And how do we make a submarine go up and down? Oh, well, we've got that now. We use a ballast chamber in a boat. Great, blah, blah, blah. And we can tell a submarine story. We have at least 3 weeks of submarine adventures. How do we go from Cartesian diver to periscope? That's crazy. Well, we just plug in everything to that chart I was talking about with the hero's journey. There's nothing clever or smart or creative. It's just filling in the blanks. If you can fill in blanks, you can make a drama for your classes. So we have the Cartesian diver. While the makers are hiding on Skull Island, Grandpa reveals Chicky's father helped him build a submarine. Grandpa tells Chicky it belongs to him now. Here's the Cartesian diver. They actually make that sound. If you built it right, you go build these at home and you hear that sound, you know you built it correctly. So, Skull Island, there's the sub. Periscope! Well, you've seen the drama for this, so I'm just going to see this one. Pet bottle submarine. Admiral Snackbar has spotted the makers as they check the surface. This is where we left off with the other one. The Grippler Navy deploys water mines, and this triggers Grandpa's PTSD, and Mom Findian assumes command. Grandpa wasn't really attacked by sharks. He was disarming a water mine, and it blew up, and it took his eye and his leg. Mom attempts a very risky crash dive to avoid the mines and stir up debris that will hit the mines instead. This explosion causes the Navy to end the pursuit of the unidentified surface object. This is the final story of semester 1. Students must wait for the next semester to resume the story. Blah, 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 blah. Here we go. And... Okay, so the look and feel of these are inspired by Terry Gilliam animations, but I don't think anybody cares about that. I try to use as much free software as possible. GIMP! GIMP is free! 100% free! It works like Photoshop. So if you don't want to pay money for Photoshop, get GIMP. Grandpa got his coat. The Coco Copter was made with GIMP. So we take 2 different pictures where I just take the blades of the helicopter and I rotate them and I have them alternate back and forth and I make this animated picture that I can now use in my PowerPoints. So it's just these 2 different frames done in GIMP. And the 2 different layers just go back and forth every 100 milliseconds or so and we get these 2 different frames.
Audacity. Audacity is free. Some of you are already familiar with this and doing language work. It's great if you want to slow down a song and keep the pitch. You can use that for teaching songs to kids. I do a lot of sound editing with this. We use this for all kinds of stuff when we are training the kids, but I will also use it for editing songs, to get sound effects together and anything like that. So, if you do want to make dramas, sound effects are very important. I'm not going to play the sound clip, but I have collections of cartoon sound effects, like the major cartoon studios. They release these things on CD. Here are 3, you can see the pauses here, 3 different sound effects for helicopters. I've just gone and cut the last one, and I use that for the Cococopter sounds. PowerPoint. That's what I'm doing these things, and I'm sure there's better, more powerful software, but PowerPoint is easily recognizable. It's the entry level is, everyone's done something with PowerPoint, and there's the shapes for the speech bubbles. You can do basic animation in PowerPoint, and that's all you need. If you have a compelling story with good pictures and characters that the students feel an attachment to, you've seen the level of animation used. It's hokey, it's cheap, but the kids get into it. And now you don't have to use Microsoft Office. There's something called Apache OpenOffice, which is also free. You can do their version of PowerPoint. I think it's called Slideshow. You can do that. You can do just about all of the effects with Apache OpenOffice, and I believe they will even use other people's PowerPoint files. It's set up a little differently, the menus are different, but all of the stuff is there. So you can still make these things on a budget. And I also heard that one time somebody managed to get software for free on the internet, but I don't know anything about that. But maybe you know that kid who's good with the computers, who can find the torrent files for you. But I don't recommend anything like that at all. All right, so PowerPoint, I mean, this here is a small clip of how all of those things get put together. So, do I have time for this? Okay.
Actually, I just want to tell everybody that GIMP and Audacity is very useful even for your regular English class, because we have to make test paper and we have to find clip art paper with picture. So because it has to fit Microsoft Word, and is sometimes gets difficult for you to adjust it. And a lot of times you get pictures with background, but you don't like the background because it will cover up your word, so you use GIMP to do the editing. It's very easy.
Also,
and you have to do English recording for listening, so Audacity can help you do that.
yes. And if you found a picture you really like, but it says stock photo across it, and you want to use this picture for your worksheets, GIMP makes it pretty easy to remove watermarks. If you're doing black and white stuff, you can remove watermarks in GIMP. But
sometimes it's faster to do this editing yourself than spend a lot of time looking for one appropriate picture.
yes. So Grandpa is stuck on this island, and he gets the idea to build the Cococopter because a coconut lands on his head. And, is it safe to build? I guess there's only one way to find out. Let's rock. Sorry for the poor video quality. Yeah. I did the extreme close-up, and then when we cut back to this, he's done. Now, for comic books and things like that, the implication is he's already gone inside. But what it really does is it saves me from having to draw a door and animate him going in. The kids just fill in the blanks. And that's just 2 different animation commands. There's the one, fly up and out of the screen, and then when that one's done, a smaller one goes across, just to give the illusion of depth. There's nothing really very, there's nothing very complex about it. It's just a whole series of small, cheap tricks to get the job done. And there's that. Does anybody have questions for Teacher Mate about any of this?
Please drink some water. So this goes back to the question I got from, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Joanna, yes. About how do we make science knowledge less boring, or do not just fill in, we don't want to just fill in knowledge to kids' head, because we want to make it more interesting. This is how we try to make it more interesting, more attractive to kids. And then with this story, I think they remember it better than you just telling them what is going on. And then also it helps you to connect your units together, because why are we making summary? Why are we making Cartesian diagrams? If we just give this unit to kids, okay, do this week, do that next week, they don't connect to each other. So everybody can make your own drama, your story. You just need to get enough pictures, things you like, material. But this is how you make it.
And there will be times when the kids come in and I can say, what did we make last week?
This is summary.
What did Chicky do last week? Oh, Chicky fight the blue guy. Okay, why? Oh, they like this girl. Okay, so what did they do? Dance contest. Great, they had a dance contest. So what did we make for the dance contest? Oh, the dancing chick. Yes! And then they remember what they built. And there was a dancing chicken to teach about levers when they pull the strings. So they can get that other knowledge by following the string from the emotional connection that they made.
I think most of the teachers here know very well about English textbooks. So the book I'm using right now is E-Star, so you know they have characters. They go through 4 units or 5. They have stories. For example, take Superstarter as example. They have 2 main characters. They have a task. They have to collect letters. 26 alphabet letters through the units. That's their task. And you have the same characters going through all the units. That is the same idea as our drama. So we have these drama characters they are familiar with, and you see them every time. They have different tasks every time. But tasks this time and next time, they don't just pop up. They related to each other. So we hope this is helpful to your program to make it more attractive to your kids if they need this.
Hi, finally, congratulations. We are moving on to the last part of today's work, and thank you for making it this long here. So I talk about the crisis. Doing the Maker program isn't always a smooth sail. As a matter of fact, the 3 of us work tightly together and fight a lot. We agree and disagree a lot on each other. So I will talk about the crisis, the fights, the challenges that we come through making this program alive. So right now the crisis is that I don't have enough time, so I'm gonna speak up.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
She told me to do this because she didn't have enough to talk about.
Okay, I thought you would say yes I am, but never mind.
Yes I am.
Okay, so we have to always be collecting because ideas don't fall from the sky. So we are always collecting ideas. The first year when school started, we all sat down and talked about what is possible for us to build. So we bought some books, and Greg collected some Maker books from the internet. And we actually sat down and went through pages and marked all the pages that's possible to develop a build. So some ideas don't work, but we keep them. We don't throw out the ideas. The sewing lesson was an idea from Teacher Ming the first year. First year, we didn't have enough skills or stuff to do sewing. So sewing started year 2. But whatever ideas that we have, we keep them and we use them when it's possible. And then we collect materials. For example, the compost. You can't put in fruit peels and expect the soil to grow over one night. So a lot of materials take time to collect. And whenever people visit Shinmin Elementary School, we like to take them to the maker room. I said, look, this is our garbage room. So it's full of garbage. I'll show you some of the garbages we have. Toilet paper rolls, we have a lot of them. And we use them to make the art bot. Bag strings, these are pulled out from the paper bags. What do we do with that? We use them for butterfly feeder. And this is from air conditioning. It's really garbage. But we keep them. We keep the box, we keep the styrofoam, and later on in a Reader's Theater show, when Shiki tried to save his mom, we use that to make brick walls. And a lot of milk bottles, and we use them to build the electromagnet device. And lots of PET bottles, lots of bottle caps. We use that to make a PET bottle car. So the wheels are bottle caps. So we're always collecting garbage, and we don't know when we will need them. And meetings, like Teacher Ming said, we try to sit down as much as we can and talk about lessons. And communication should be routine. So every week we should sit down together and talk about it. Otherwise, the teachers have to know what's happening next week. Are we good with the materials? Is everything prepared? Do we all have all the teaching slides? Who can do what? So we divide the work and we talk about possibilities. We think about whether this lesson is safe. For example, the needle lessons. We have to arrange them to sit one by one. They cannot sit next to each other because if one raises the needle, he could poke the eye of his neighbor. So, yeah, we think about a lot of things like this. So we all have to sit down because one person might think about one thing, the other person think about the other one, and then all sitting together, we figure out the challenges, we solve the problems before the class happens.
This is where fights come.
Yes. Schedules. So we try to have the same schedule for every teacher to sit down together. Right now the team is like 6-7 people, and it's really difficult to find a time when everyone is free. And then sometimes, for example, the school sports day happens, there is a rehearsal, and this class 401 is canceled. What about the rest grade 4? They are not on the same page. What do we do? So we try to keep them on the same schedule every week. Otherwise, our mind will explode because they are already 4 different grades. And if each grade is on a different page, whoa, we get very confused. And then always be communicating. The lesson planning I already mentioned, and always be cautious. We always think about safety. Whenever there is electricity, whenever there is a sewing, let's always begin with a safety slide, telling them what's safe to do, what's not. Do not run around with your needle. And do not short your circuits. Because once I think they melted a battery. So tell them always the safety rules and always have backup. Today there are 48 or so teachers. We should prepare for 8 groups of the Morse code circuit board. We prepared 12. So the same with lessons, because some builds might fail and you don't know what could happen because it's a maker lesson and teachers prepare the materials, and sometimes we make mistakes on the builds. So their board wouldn't work, so we always have backup. And always be consistent. In our lessons, there is always the maker diary that teaches them the word, and the drama that gives them the mission, and then the blackboard that teaches them the theory behind this science, and finally a worksheet, and to make sure that they understand the drama, they understand the build. This is the blackboard. I believe one teacher asked us, how do we show them the theory and without making it bored? This is how.
This is the scientist Sprinkler. He said, today, the makers built a periscope. We know that they use bathroom pipes and mirrors. But why? What science did they use today? Light reflection. Reflection is when light bounces off of something. We can see because light bounces off of things. If light bounces off of something smooth and shiny like a mirror, the light will reflect at the same angle. So if it goes in at 45, it bounces off at 45, and together they make a 90-degree. Lasers use mirrors to aim where they shoot. It's much easier to move mirrors than it is to move a laser, because a mirror is lighter. And the makers didn't use the mirrors for lasers, but they used mirrors to make a periscope. A periscope uses mirrors to bounce light to the viewer. You can point the periscope over a wall or around a corner to use the reflected light to see in those places. There are at least 2 mirrors in a periscope. Mirror 1, mirror 2. So 45, 45, 90. 45, 45, 90. Together, they make 180. First, we set the mirrors at 45 degrees, so the light hits the mirror at 45 degrees. When the light hits the mirror at 45 degrees, it reflects at 45 degrees. Then we get a 90-degree turn. The light goes down the tube and hits the mirror at 45 and reflects at 45. Then we get another 90 turn back the other way. 90 minus 90 equals 0. So Chicky can look at a monk without turning. It's almost like the monk is in front of him. Pretty cool, right? So every time the scientist Sprinkler teaches a science lesson, it always ends with pretty cool, right? And the kids will sing, So this is the worksheet. It normally has 2 pages. The front page is drama comprehension questions. And the second page is about how they see the Chinese character in the mirror, because it will be reversed. And how they see this Chinese character through a periscope. It's still the same. So why are they different? And finally, we have challenges along the way. Even though we sit down and plan and things still happen, we still come around crisis. So the most common ones from professors and teachers are, how do we make it more clear? Is your lesson a science lesson? Is your lesson an English lesson? What is the balance? Should it be science more? Some teachers say you should do language more. So we listen to different ideas and sometimes we get confused who we listen to. And they want to see more interactions with the students. So teacher, you talk all the way. What about students? What's their oral production? What's their language being learned today? We don't see that from the worksheet. And also, what's the language? The language production, especially oral language production. And also, which curriculum index, 能力指标, do we use? So in our school, we use it in the integrated activity class. 我们用综合课. So supposedly we should use the integrated activities curriculum index. But it's a lot of science in that. So do we use the science? Do we use the art? Or even do we use the English? And these are all the challenges we have. We don't have an answer, but maybe you do. And please feel welcome to tell us what we can do to these challenges that we mentioned. Thank you.
Okay,
thank you so much. I really enjoyed this their presentation. I hope you do as well. Right now, we still have time for some questions, and would you three like to come up on stage, and perhaps we'll take some questions. Would you like to sit or stand?
I was told us.
Would you like to sit or stand?
I'll stand.
Okay, all right. So, any questions? Yes, we have a question from.
Thanks for your great presentation. And I find out that your curriculums are very similar to that PBL, that problem-based learning, right? That you give students that some problem and story to let them solve and study. Right? And may I ask that how can you examine that students learning or not? That you worksheet only, or you will prepare some final exam to know? Thank you.
Okay, we have a review game for the end of semester, and we do also do a final exam at the end of the year. And besides the worksheet and that stuff, there's the actual making of the thing, where some of the stuff it's very spelled out instructions, and some of the other ones it's a little bit more based on how they want to make things. So can they make it? Can they talk about it? So there's in doing this, there's we're lucky we have so many other people helping us to walk around, but we will just walk around with the groups and we're talking to them, and we can evaluate just from largely informal conversations, and do they need a lot of guidance? Are they asking the right questions? What are they doing in class? So there's a lot of different things that we use. Does anybody want to?
Very good question indeed. We try to create some chances for them to stand up stage and speak. But for a lot of lessons, it's kind of pressing because we have a certain schedule. We always make a diary, drama, build, and worksheets. So some units, we try to encourage them to stand up and perform and use their language. It's not always easy because in the same class, there's outstanding kids with great English, and there's very slow learners. For the very slow learners, a lot of times we observe if they can follow what's going on. It's like throwing them in an English environment, so they don't get every word, but they try to observe, they get visual clues, they copy from their classmates, and they look at the pictures in the slides and trying to get what's happening. So they use environment clues to help them understanding, which is a very important skill when they are learning a language. They try as best as they can, and we observe whether they could use these clues to help them. So in the cooking show, for example, some of them cannot stand here, hold the microphone and be the chef and tell everybody how to make this dish. They will be the assistant. So when the chef says, first you take a carrot, and then this slow learner will pass the carrot. So as long as they understand what to do, we evaluate that as a successful learning.
And I will say that this is what I do in the academic affairs office. I sit down and watch and try to use context clues to figure out who's talking about who in the office. So it does work, yes. I've learned a lot of interesting Chinese in these last couple of years.
First one is Lao Wai.
Every time I get in the elevator, yeah.
What is it?
I can't say the other ones.
Chinese Lao Wai.
What you're gonna say?
Sorry. Answering the question. So this is one aspect of the evaluation. We want to see if the kids can work with each other, because sometimes they don't want to work with certain people. But sometimes that's life. You don't get to choose a lot of times. You maybe you don't like him, but maybe you can work well with this person. So this is one side of evaluation. And then also we hope, this is first step, we hope them to find clues in context in drama. Then, with the comprehension check, you have to read it. You don't have to know every word, but you have to know at least the sub-keywords because you have to make your diary. You know the keywords. So try to find clue and try to find the answer. And reading too. So this is reading and then listening. While you are listening to the instruction, you follow it, you listen to clue, keywords, and then you start working on your stuff. We really encourage them, you don't have to know every word, but you have to know the keyword, find clues in the context. So we check. I would say that we evaluate in every class through group by group while they are they're building stuff. So I would ask them questions, they have to answer me. For example, the circuit, the negative and positive thing, if they can answer, I think they understand it.
Any more questions? Any more questions? While you guys think of questions, I may ask us. Oh, okay, we have Dr. Chen. Here.
I just wonder, how did you design the core content in your class? I think that's very important to design the whole class. Is there any core, how to say that word? It's a core subject or core content that conclude the whole things. For example, what do you say? What you just mentioned, STEAM. Could you give us an example? How to design that? Okay. The design process. You can do that. Okay.
Okay, well, the design process, first, we just look for interesting builds and we categorize them. This is part of the always be collecting. We don't initially have a topic in mind. We have surveys that show things, interests from the kids. We have the school science textbooks where we can see what is appropriate for their grade and how we can, are there things that can relate to what they are doing? Is it the exact thing or is it something related that we can build off of? And like we talked about with the submarine story, so the periscope and buoyancy are not things that you would see chapter 1, chapter 2 in a science textbook. They might be in the same book, and it might be 2 lessons a kid would learn in science class in the whole year, but they're spread far apart. But if we move it to grouping the lessons based on the storytelling, these are things that come up and they are still related thematically, but not necessarily scientifically related. So when they are in the submarine or they are in the Coco Cruiser, they learn about the stars, they learn about the ocean, they learn about the tide, they learn about pollution, they learn about buoyancy, they learn about the light reflection and the periscope. So it's, well, the children have requested boats. Well, all right, well then we have a nautical theme. What things can we do where there is a build related to the nautical theme? Start looking through our library of builds. Okay, this is a great, fun build, but this is where fights come. What's the science? What's the English? And then, well, what do you think it is? Well, I don't know. So what can we put with this? And if a build survives the argument, we keep it and we connect them to make the stories. Because we have a bunch of good builds with good possible lessons to them, and then they turn around and they suggest to us what the story will be, and we put it all together that way. So we are just always collecting things that look like they have promise,
A lot of the stuff we're going to be doing in semester 2 with green energy sources is stuff we had on a board last year where we were grouping, well, we can do things with wind power, we can do things with solar power, but what do we do? How do we do it? And it just stayed on the board while we were continuing to collect ideas and put things together. So it's first find things that we can use, and then we turn around and we group them. So it's not, we will teach them all the solar system and the name of the planets, and we are going to spend 1 semester on planetary rotation and orbits. It's okay, well, they're on a boat, they need to navigate with the stars, so we learn that it looks like the stars are moving, and you can guess where they are by the time, and when we use a planisphere to find them and navigate. And that's an astronomy lesson that goes and is related to the nautical theme. So it's grouped in that way.
Well, about the buoyancy, how do you make sure each student can understand the buoyancy in your class in English?
That's what we would like. Part of, I think, what I hear, what is challenging for us to, promote STEM in English or bilingual science is that people have the people believe that science is difficult, and the language of science is even more difficult. The terminology is difficult, and so we are being challenged that it is impossible to teach science and STEM in English. And this is part of the reason why I invited the 3 of you here, because you have been teaching this STEM per curriculum for 2 years now, and you've been doing a great job. And these are some of our questions. So evaluation is one question, how do we evaluate them? The second question is how do you come up with a curriculum? And what I think what Greg is sharing, is right here, is that one of the highlight of this curriculum is that we are not going by the textbook. It's like throwing science knowledge at the students. We're giving them a context, a story behind that, so that they can know when we apply that science knowledge, how do we make it, application. So there's a storyline behind it and a purpose for this science. I think that's one of the things that I like about their curriculum is giving it a purpose, because a lot of times when I go into elementary school, I ask the students, why are we learning this? They tell me because it's in the textbook, because they're being tested. So back to Dr. Chen's question about the concept of buoyancy, 水的浮力. Buoyancy is a difficult word. So what we would like to ask is, how do you teach these kids about the concepts of buoyancy? And this is what we are curious about, the scientific knowledge and as well as the language. And we have here, I love the Maker's Diary idea. And to add on to Dr. Michael Chen's question, is that how do you pick the vocabulary that goes into the Maker Diary? And I love the Maker Diary idea, because when I went in and observed the lesson on ArtBots, they're working on their ArtBot. There's like you were doing. Connecting the wires, the positive, and you're sorting out how to connect it. When do we use the paperclip as switch, and how do you use Morse code? The kids, what I observed was they were going through their Maker's Diary, checking the terms and making sure this is the positive, so they're really using that Maker's Diary, the vocabulary, the pictures, to go back and help them do their build. And so that's what I like about it. So back to buoyancy.
Okay, well, we can talk about buoyancy. One of the things, and sometimes this causes a debate between different science advisors who come in and me. Buoyancy is one where, when I was a scuba instructor, we taught, buoyancy regulation and how well you float under the water is very important. And it's something that people generally have difficulty visualizing. So for that, I've had several different models and explanations and things that I could show to scuba students. But one of the things that we tend, when I was trained to teach diving, is yes, technically it's volume and mass for density. But most people just say weight because we're on a planet and we have weight and we're out in space. It's easier to think in terms of mass and things like that. And you start getting into these things with the preciseness of words and okay. So, in an English class, teaching or showing science concepts, if somebody says, we can adjust our weight to change our buoyancy, I'm still happy with that. The most precise, scientifically correct is changing the mass. But for most everyday people, it's the same thing. If you're an engineer and you're shooting stuff into space, or you are building a proper sub, then those exact terms are incredibly important. But for lay people, no. So we bring the phrases and things more to a lay perspective, where they're still getting the concepts, but they might use words that a regular person would use and not a scientist. It's like, I need to go to the foot doctor, or I'm seriously considering consulting a podiatrist. Same thing, but one is a lot easier to parse and process. So I'm looking for, when I'm working with the kids, I'm looking for the key concepts given back to us. If they can do like the super A plus sugar on top English, beautiful, great. But if they can say, oh, well, make heavy, it goes down. Make light, it goes up. Make big, it stays up. Make small, it goes down. Well, they are now talking about adjusting weight, mass, and volume to regulate buoyancy. So it's how, if the kid can parse and express the idea, I love that, because you're going to be out in the wild and you're going to have to communicate to somebody, and you're like, oh my God, I forgot the word on the English test that was the specific quiz I was given about this. Oh, I can't talk to them now because I don't remember that word. No, just express the idea with what you've got. And if they can express the idea to me, I'm very happy with that. We have kids whose English levels are all over the place, but they can get the idea and they can sit with me and communicate that they get these ideas. So for me, that's a win. If they were taught in English and they're able to process it and they can give it out, albeit in different English, but they are showing understanding, okay, happy day.
To answer Doctor's question, it's just, our curriculum doesn't just show up like this right now, or the first year, first period. We didn't have maker diary, we didn't have drama, and a lot of things. And we didn't have worksheets. We didn't have worksheets. This boat didn't look like this. It was like version 5, 6, I don't know. We spent the whole summer vacation looking at this, looking at information online, and fight a lot of fight. And we're trying to find someone to help us. So it's just, you have to if you're making, for some schools, maybe you take science class to do bilingual. So you just follow whatever science textbook is. You just do the unit by unit. But we're not doing that. We're making new projects. But it still has to base on kids, their cognition, yes. So we have to look at science textbook if we're taking some. But we don't want to overlap their Chinese science, because why do they have to learn this 2 times if we're just teaching everything from that science textbook? So we cannot do that. So we have to come up with new things, but no one will tell you what is the right thing to do, and you don't know, so you have to try. So we try.
Just what I mean. There's a big difference between float and buoyancy. You must be very, very careful use the word to teach the kids. Buoyancy is buoyancy.
Yes.
And the float is float.
Yes,
It's totally
if it floats,
different.
it's positively buoyant.
The kids don't understand what's the meaning
Okay,
about
if
the
you are,
buoyancy.
can we get to NAS? I will be happy to show you how that particular lesson is played out. I can show you because we've already scaffolded on the ideas of positive and negative when we were teaching electricity. They are familiar with positive and negative, and we introduced the new word neutral. And so we have positively buoyant, neutrally buoyant, negatively buoyant, and just buoyancy. And in the Maker Diary, actually that's the 4 terms we use that time. So for positively buoyant, we show a cork floating. Negatively buoyant, we have a rock and we have treasure under the water. Neutrally buoyant, we have a picture of a fish. And then we have buoyancy, which is what, huli? Huli, yes. So I am picking these up from the context clues. So yes, we actually are, and as someone who has taught buoyancy and taught diving and calculating how to make things neutrally buoyant for rescue and recovery and bringing things up to the surface, I am very aware of all of these, and I promise you that it is something we do consider, and we work very carefully with the words, and you are getting a quick slice of what we do. But I invite you to come to our next open class, and you can see all of the things we do and how it is done. And I can sit with you one-on-one if you like at that time, and we can talk about the science theory.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you very much. I think part of the challenge, and I think it's a big challenge for pushing for bilingual education in any subject, is that we are being challenged for the subject knowledge, how we teach it, and also we're being challenged about the English, the language part. So it's not an easy job. And I think that, we need more passionate teachers like yourself who are here today, this morning, all 3 hours on a Saturday morning, for professional development, so that you can go back and teach science bilingually. And so I applaud your effort in coming today, and thank you for joining us. Thank you. So please do not be discouraged if a professor comes to your class saying, "Oh, you're doing this wrong." No, we're working on it together, to have a better future for our kids. So I really highly encourage everybody to try this out. I think science is possible to be delivered in English, and what they're doing, STEM class, like Greg invited all of you to come to his open class, and you will be amazed by their class. I guarantee it. Thank you. And so we would like to take this time to thank our speakers today, and so we have certificate from our president. Thank you. And then
Yours is in English. 1, 2, 3, cheese.
Can we all, can we all take a group photo so, what shall we do?
Just go to the front. Everyone go to the front.
Can we all join me? Come to the front.
Stop.